Guys, I think Splatoon 3's time might finally be up. The Splatoon team is now shifted to Splatoon Raiders. We haven't gotten any updates for 2 whole months, and most importantly, there was no Splatoon 3 shown in the partner showcase. Like, that's a telltale sign that Splatoon 3's dead for real now. It's a shame to see it happen, but all things must end eventually. Fly high, Splatoon 3. Fly high. Okay, but seriously, ever since Summer Nights wrapped up, I've been wondering just what else the devs might do with Splatoon 3 before and after they release Splatoon Raiders. One of the reasons why I legitimately didn't want there to be third kits after the Grand Festival is because it would continue the tradition of there being no new updates after the final Splatfest of a Splatoon game. We wouldn't have to constantly look over our shoulders and see if an update was announced for the game at 6 o'clock in the morning. But now that we got version 10, Pandora's box is open now. We might get more content to celebrate Splatoon 3's 3-year anniversary, we might not. We might have Nogami steal all of our copies of Splatoon 3 in the middle of the night. We truly don't know. This is all made even more interesting considering a whole Splatoon spin-off coming down the pipeline that we know next to nothing about. So there's a couple of different scenarios that can play out over the next couple of months. Let's talk about them a little bit. The first scenario that can happen is that we do get more updates for Splatoon 3 until Raiders releases. I didn't think that there would be any new updates for Splatoon 3 after Grand Fest, including for the 10-year anniversary of the franchise, and I got clowned on for that with the version 10 update. So who's to say they won't also do that for the 3-year anniversary of Splatoon 3, the game whose whole personality revolves around the number 3. We'll probably get some more third kits, a new map, or a returning one like the Reef, and challenges in Tricolor finally being added to private battles. Some have thought that there might also be another Splatfest that takes place in the Grand Festival venue. While it would be awesome for people who didn't participate in it the first time to witness that magical sight, frick them, they should have been there. Like with the other final Splatfest, I feel like the Grand Festival should be a once-in-a-lifetime experience, not a twice-in-a-lifetime experience. It's probably a little selfish or gatekeepy of me, but I feel like that would keep the sacred feeling of the Grand Festival. Also, you gotta find some way to sell them $25 amiibos, Nintendo. This would still be a great update for Splatoon 3. The third kits in the version 10 update were received pretty well, and adding more could give us even more variety. Give me my bubbles bloblobber from embers and my life is yours. Not to mention, we finally get to play Tricolor beyond when there's a Splatfest, and we'd be able to do our favorite challenges more than twice a year. If you really want to bring people back to the game, Nintendo, you should allow these challenges to be played on all maps and modes. Like, imagine Curling Hurl on Eeltail Alley Rainmaker. If this were to happen, then Splatoon Raiders will probably come out sometime in April, May, or June of 2026. Splatoon fans would have plenty of things to snack on until then, and the devs would have plenty of time to polish Splatoon Raiders. I'm assuming that since this is a full-blown spin-off game and not just a single-player campaign designed to be subservient to the online multiplayer, the story won't be something that you can beat in a single afternoon. I don't expect anything like a Xenoblade Chronicles or a Fire Emblem linked story, more something along the lines of Donkey Kong Bonanza or Super Mario Odyssey. I mean, one of the few details we have about this game is that it takes place on the Spiralite Islands, where there's rumored to be something the Deep Cut is searching for. So as we explore the Spiralite Islands, there's probably going to be a bunch of collectibles scattered everywhere, parts for the mechanic, lost artifacts, and a bunch of other things. Since Deep Cut were also just comedic minor antagonists in Return to Mammalian, this game could give us a proper chance to learn more about them. There's probably some stuff in the news and scrolls too, but I didn't read all that, sorry. However, if development is further along for this game than I think, then I can see scenario 2 happening, which is no more Splatoon updates and Splatoon Raiders releases sooner. We didn't see too much footage of the game in that video Nintendo released, but I don't know if that's because it's still very early in development or because more of it was meant to be shown in a proper direct and not all by itself on a Tuesday morning. There's a few first-party and first-party adjacent games that have had trailers, and we have no clue when they're releasing. Every month for the remainder of this year, other than October with Pokemon Legends ZA, is completely open. We didn't even get a release window for Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, a game that was in the partner showcase a few days ago. Is that game coming out in December? Is Kirby Air Riders coming out in September? Is Metroid Prime 4 going to be canceled again? We have no idea. Plus, until the usual direct happens in September, we won't have any idea what games might come out next year besides Splatoon Raiders and Tomodachi Life. So it's possible that Splatoon Raiders could release in the very beginning of 2026, or even near the tail end of 2025, to give some of those other games some more time to be developed. Now, I wouldn't prefer this reality, since while there is a chance that Splatoon Raiders is already done and sitting on the shelf waiting to be released, there's also a chance that the game continues the long-running tradition of Splatoon games being rushed upon release. In this scenario, since Splatoon Raiders would be a few months closer, the dev team might want to focus on that instead of adding new things to Splatoon 3. If it came out in the first few months of 2026, that means we get a Splatoween and maybe a Frosty Fest before Raiders came out, and that would be it. Then after Splatoon Raiders came out, like with the first scenario, Splatoon 3 will ride off into the sunset. But what if it doesn't? What if there's Splatoon 3 updates after Splatoon Raiders releases? Keep in mind that Raiders isn't a multiplayer game that the devs will need to upkeep after it releases. It's a single player game that is, or at least should be, complete when it launches. So what if, while they're working on Splatoon 4, they just keep giving us the occasional update for Splatoon 3? God dang it, now y'all drugged me with the copium. This probably won't happen either. Usually a little after the production of the next Splatoon game starts, updates for the current game stops. It'll be neat to have a consistent flow of content from now until Splatoon 4 drops, but as I think we can all agree on, it'll be better for them to completely focus on Splatoon 4. I've heard that there's some code in the game that hasn't been utilized, and there's still 2 more colors of that expansion pass that we know absolutely nothing about. But I don't know if that's actually something worth making public for the people to play on. So it would just be better to focus on future titles. I want the next mainline Splatoon game to come out before I enter my late 20s, okay? Now, which scenario will be the most likely one to play out? The first one, probably the first one. I mean, there's also a scenario where Splatoon Raiders releases the day after the September Direct and we get more Splatoon 3 updates, or a scenario where Raiders is canceled and Nogami bricks every Splatoon fan Switch, but it's probably the first one. It would give us some more time with Splatoon 3, which most people view to be in a good position right now, at least relative to how y'all viewed the other games after they stopped receiving updates. It would also make it to where, once Raiders finally did release in 2026, there would probably be a year or 2 of silence or some repeat Splatfests until Splatoon 4 releases in 2027 or 2028. Time will tell what ends up happening. Gosh, it's weird saying those years. Like, we're less than 5 years away from the year 2030. That's crazy. I thought there'd be flying cars in the 2030s, but instead I'm gonna have to send my ID to YouTube after watching one too many Splatoon streams. When do you think Splatoon Raiders will be released? Do you think Splatoon 3 will receive any more updates? Let me know in the comments, and remember to leave a like and subscribe to Outstar716 for more content on Splatoon 3 and other things gaming. Also, while you wait for Splatoon Raiders, you should check out this video where I ramble about the fact that Splatoon is a decade old now. I'll see you all next time.